Daredevil. Scrotal Recall is really funny.
Scrotal, that's right.
Yes.
It's that's on my queue. I haven't started that one yet.
Oh, cue it up.
I love binge watching.
Yeah, I mean, I binge, and not just, look at the size of me, man. I'm a binger.
Did not leave the house until like hours and hours every day, and I loved it.
I am a binge watcher.
Four Midwest Guys presents Binge Watch.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Four Midwest Guys presents Binge Watch. That's right, we're a brand new podcast dedicated to online streaming content. Today we're going to review Daredevil Season 1. Here with me today to help me review that is my brother Aaron.
Hey, how's it going, man?
How's it going, dude?
Yeah, it's alright.
Good. You ready to dig into Daredevil Season 1 where it all started?
I've loved the season, so yeah, I'm more than happy to kind of jump into it.
Alright, so we got a lot to cover, so we might as well just get right into it. Daredevil Season 1, this was really the first Netflix Marvel comic book adaptation.
Yeah, it kind of sets the way for a lot of the other shows they've done, like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage since then. Mm-hmm. But really, this is kind of the first one that kind of set the template for how that universe is going to work. Mm-hmm. And kind of what we see is something much darker than the Marvel film series.
Oh, absolutely.
It allows it to go in a lot of different ways, and really allows it to be more violent. It has a longer storyboard focus. Mm-hmm. It gives the possibility of doing a lot of things we haven't been able to see or do within the Marvel universe, at least film universe.
Very much so. And it's only 13 episodes. And what was cool about it, though, is every episode is as long as it needs to be.
Yeah.
It's not set at 1 hour. It's
yeah,
not
it
set
really
at
is
an hour and a half.
It's almost like when you read a book and like chapters vary in size and length.
Right.
Like it's as long as the chapter needs to be to tell that part of the story.
That particular story, which is really cool, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get away with that on network TV at all.
No, and I think that's one of the reasons this is more open, and I think this is one of the reasons you have kind of this golden age of television where you have really high production values, you have really quality storylines, and you have a lot of things you can do that you weren't able to do traditionally even 5-6 years ago.
Definitely. So it's very, like you were saying, it's dark and it's gritty. I think Daredevil's a really good fit for their first character.
Yeah, especially since they're wanting to focus more on a kind of more local level hero and not like a big Captain America or X-Men sort of character.
Right, he really is a street level hero per se.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much the devil of Hell's Kitchen, so
right.
Like there's a neighborhood, involved.
He's the Batman of the neighborhood watch.
Yeah. Like it's essentially kind of what it is. Like it's a step up from Neighborhood Watch, except you have like demons and other like weird like Doctor Doom type characters that pop up in the comics. So,
which is very cool. But the other thing I liked is it still exists within the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah,
they talk about an alien invasion in this one.
Yeah, I think that's something that's. While I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has a hard time with this at spots, I think the Netflix series has incorporated the film universe very well. And especially because they've only really had to do it in a few spots. And it all kind of happened before the series starts.
Yes.
So it's made it a lot easier on the writing staff there, I think.
I think so. It really... I just like... It's just nice that it all exists. It's one big story.
Yeah.
And it's just, you're looking at a very micro...
Oh, yeah, and it because of the time span, like you have close to 13 hours, maybe a little more, a little less.
Really, it is a 13-hour movie, essentially. Yeah. I mean,
it allows you to kind of delve deep into a lot of the characters, even like some side characters you wouldn't expect to like or kind of really enjoy, or like it really allows you to connect with them and like see their perspective and where they came from a lot more. Mm-hmm. So it really, even for like a lot of the minor characters, they have more personality and feeling to them than you would ever be able to get out of like a 2 to 3 hour film.
Oh, absolutely. There's no way. Because anything beyond Once you hit that 3-hour mark in the movie theater, people just can't last.
Yeah, like, because you need a restroom break, you need to get some food. Like,
yeah.
when you're binging these things, like, there's a setup. Like, you got some snacks involved. Like, you're prepping in advance for, like, the long binge, like, the long haul of it.
Got the icy cup to pee in just in case, empty icy
Well,
cup.
you can pause it. That's the nice thing as well. Is like, the bathroom's just there. Just pause it. You're not going to miss a thing. It's all good.
Yeah, you're right. It really is. It allows for really golden age television and really good television.
And
too.
the thing is, because of how much more time you're allowed to have, honestly, some of the Marvel shows like this are better than some of the Marvel films. And like, I love the Marvel films, I do, but
that can take the time to do it
like,
right in here. Yeah.
You can develop characters in so much. Like, you could never have developed Fisk like the show did on any of the films.
No, because we'll get into that. He's a very slow build.
Like, you look at how Marvel has that tendency of having like really bad movie villains, but you look at Fisk, and he's the most three-dimensional villain that's ever been on film or TV.
You could almost see him in real life. That's how well they build
exactly.
him. Yeah, yeah.
Like, as it gets later on and we talk about, like, there's just so many components to him where that is my favorite character of this show.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
easy. Yeah. He
like, I like Matt Murdock.
Really
I like Smokey. I like a lot of the characters, but, like, there's just something about that dude. It's like, and it's such a well done, like, just the acting is so fucking superb.
It is. And, the other thing to mention is there is even a, at least in this season, the first season, they start hinting even at the mythical side of things, just ever so slightly.
It sets up for a lot of the shows later on.
Right. Season 2 especially, and probably Iron Fist, which releases here in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Which is very
well, not just that, but, like, there's also small little Easter eggs throughout the thing to where you have, like reference to the larger Marvel universe or to like other things later on. Like, I think there is like a small reference to Luke Cage at some point in this, or that might be in season 2. It is Jessica Jones that introduces him. Yeah.
So, all right. So let's go character by character, and we'll start with the two biggest in the series. Let's talk about Daredevil as well as Fisk. Both really very good origin stories.
Yeah.
I thought both were kind of slow build, really.
They really do take their time with this. With Daredevil, you do have the flashbacks about how he admired his father and how much he relates to him. You have the aspects of his spirituality that they kind of build on and they play on with his morality.
And the confessions.
You have the aspects of him being raised after his father dies.
By Stick. Well, he gets trained by Stick temporarily.
He was in, kind of the Catholic home before that. And like, there's so many aspects to his character that build up. And you even have, like, flashbacks of, like, him and Smokey in college. And,
Foggy, yeah.
Yeah, Foggy.
Yeah, that's all right. The other thing that I kind of liked about this, he doesn't get the full Daredevil suit until the very end of the season.
Yeah, it kind of works. Like, by the time you see it, you're like, oh shit, that does look kind of cool. But like, there is something of a realism that you even have like an origin story for the costume.
Yeah, because he has to find this guy that built these regular suits for Fisk that just happen to be knife proof.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're like lead lined or some shit,
and that's
like,
who ends up making the suit for him. Otherwise, he's running around in his underwear, pretty much.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's more or less like running around like Zorro.
Like, yeah, that's a good.
Like, that's
analogy,
essentially
actually,
like minus the eye holes. That's the costume is classic Zorro.
Yeah, he's kind of the blind Zorro running around. Yeah, I really enjoyed everything. It was a good origin story. It was a slow build, and it took time.
Well, that and
for him
like
to.
Even
he got his ass kicked a lot at first.
So much.
Yeah, I mean,
like, you see him just getting patched up throughout the entire thing. Like, there's an episode that's introduced with him being found like in a dumpster.
Yeah, that's where we'll get to her. Claire comes in. Yeah,
but like, that's the origin of that entire episode. Is just, wow, he is so fucked up.
Yeah, he's literally hanging on to life and death.
And it's funny because you also have episodes where you have him explaining why he does what he does, what drove him to that. And you talk about like the extra sensory things and like how he would hear people like down the road, and like there's like one scene,
hear their heartbeats, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah.
And there was like one bit where he's talking about hearing like a stepfather or something like walking in on like his daughter like almost every other night or something like that, and you're just like, oh fuck yeah. Who wouldn't beat the shit out of that dude, right?
Right, exactly.
And you're like, So it gives you like kind of reasonings like, and once you go to that part, like where you hear that, where it's constantly in your face, like you can't just ignore it. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, something that's really interesting for Daredevil is like, even if it's buildings away, if it's, you know, like in locked rooms, he hears it. He has to face it. That is his reality.
So he's constantly confronted with the evil, so therefore he feels like he has to do something.
He doesn't have the option of turning away a blind eye.
Right.
Because even though he is blind, it's because he's constantly reminded. He hears it. It's just, it's part of his universe.
That's a good point.
Like, you have a lot of people where, like, you know, you might hear the neighbors fighting and, you know, turn up the TV a little louder or go out or whatever. And
right.
That's not an option.
Yeah, because he can't turn it. Well, he can control it, but he can't really turn it off, per se. Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about the other main character. Let's talk about Fisk, your favorite character.
Yeah.
I know.
I think even by the time we get to some of the other shows for Marvel's, like, Netflix series, Fisk is clearly my favorite character.
Well, I mean, I like how they started out with him because at first he's just a voice on the phone.
Yeah, it's a very slow build as well.
Yeah, and I love how they introduced the artwork with him. I think that's the first scene we actually see of him is actually looking at that wall
in the
or
art
the
gallery.
painting of the blank painting.
Yeah, which is weird because, like, for most people, that's, you know, that's new age shit art, right?
Right.
Like, that's just,
why the
it's
hell
a color.
Right.
Why would you care about
Why
that?
are you looking at a white wall? That
Yeah. But then you go back into, like, his origins as a child, and you're like, oh, fuck.
How his father made him turn around while he beat his mom to death practically every time. He had to look at the wall.
And, like, that was just, like, a calming, just go to your safe place sort of thing eventually. And you're just like, oh, fuck, that's horrible.
Which kind of explains why he's really driven by his emotions and what leads to that car door scene and just how it fucking
the fucking car door scene. Like, that's the moment you know this show is doing something the Marvel films could never fucking do.
No.
Because that, to me, like, I saw that and I was like, oh shit, there's less graphic scenes on Game of Thrones.
I was like, it was right up there. I tell you what, I was kind of like, am I watching like a video game, like a brutality here or something?
Yeah,
you know?
like, you look at like Mortal Kombat's like fatalities and like, that's up there with them.
Yeah,
like, if we're being fucking honest,
except, man. It's like, it's
and
real,
the funny thing
almost.
is, like, that's his own subordinate.
Yeah.
And he did that just because it made his date, like, uncomfortable.
You
like,
interrupted his date. Ooh,
yeah. Not that, like, don't get me wrong, like, it might have ruined the relationship and he got angry about it. There's motivation for it.
But
once
still.
again, Fisk is actually a pretty three-dimensional character. Like, he has friends. Like, he has people he relates to and a love interest that he's clearly fucking adores. Mm-hmm. So, like, you ruined something that fucking mattered to him and it couldn't slide.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fucking brilliant. Like, you look at Vanessa as, like, a character, and by the end, almost is, like, a partner for him. Like, in more than one way.
She is an interesting character because the fact that I don't know if it's because she just sees his vulnerable side. Mm-hmm. Because he is vulnerable. That's the other thing that makes Fisk an interesting villain, is he is vulnerable.
Yeah, like, you can clearly see as a child, he was kind of emotionally damaged and was picked on.
Yeah.
And then as an adult, he allows himself to remain emotional, and it's not a weakness for him.
No, if anything, he channels it.
He
rage.
really does.
It's rage, like pure rage, almost.
But like, he channels that into like just fucking power for himself.
Power, homicidal. I don't know how to describe it. Honestly, it's just rage. It's pure power through rage.
Yeah,
and that's about
like if you're talking about like a Sif in the DC universe, there's your fucking dude almost.
Yeah, or Fisk
or Marvel universe.
He's a crime boss, but he's so much more in this.
Yeah, and it's interesting having that rage because, for the most part, he's actually really composed. Mm-hmm. Like, even when he like slams the dude's fucking head off through a car door.
Yeah.
Like, moments later, completely fine.
Yeah, he's
cold
like,
as ice. Just,
back to normal.
Just like, just get it cleaned up and we're good. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what makes him scary, though.
Yeah, it's because like that's on a dime.
A little light switch, just you're like, whoa,
like real long fuse, but when it goes off, it is a hell of a bomb. And when it's done, it's business as normal.
I think what's interesting when you compare Daredevil to Fisk is they both want to save the city.
Yeah,
they just want to. They're going about it different ways.
And to be honest, if you if it wasn't for Fisk, willingness to do bad shit in order to get for the
things
right
done.
consequences,
Yeah.
you wouldn't view him as a villain. Everything he's actually trying to achieve in the long term are pretty normal, decent goals for rebuilding city. I mean, don't get me wrong, some
Other
of
than
that
wanting to control it all, but
yeah. I mean, some of it falls into gentrification and over control of it, but overall, what he's actually looking for in terms of just making the city a better place isn't bad.
No, and
It's just he's willing to do a lot of shit to do it. It's a very consequentialist sort of view. Whereas with Daredevil, you have a very motivational approach to
Yes.
it. It's your motivations that matter,
Is to go
not
out-
the consequences.
he's
of it.
going out there that he's taking matters in his own hands. But Fisk is too, in his own way, really. It's very interesting to put these two together and go side by side. Fisk is doing it because of what happened to him in his past. His father was trying to be a politician.
Well, and I think
that's
he
part
wants
of
to be
it.
more of it than a crime lord.
Yeah.
He doesn't view himself as a villain.
No. If any, he's always desiring to be the man that he's not.
Yeah,
And
he
that's-
saw his father. He
Yeah.
hated him.
Right.
And he always wanted to be better than him. He actually is pushing himself to be the best version of himself.
Yeah.
And he actually succeeds in a lot of ways. Outside of just his willingness to do messed up shit to get the results he wants.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the wrong way to do it. But yeah, it's...
But I mean, you look at how many governments go from a consequentialist point of view. There's thousands of people in the world that have that mindset.
I know, they get fed up and they want to...
Not even just in terms of you look at, I mean, essentially that's the Pearl Harbor argument, isn't it?
What?
Is that it was okay, yeah, sure, dropping, a nuclear bomb, shit, but the consequences of it are better than what it would have been otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially that's the argument is yeah, he's doing fucked up shit to get to that point, but that point's better than the alternative it would have arrived at.
Right. That's the justification.
Yeah, it's a consequentialist argument, but that's his mentality of it.
But that's
you
his
can view yourself
mentality.
as a good person and still do that.
But instead of one thing or one moment, he looks at it. That's how he does everything, though.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's the big difference.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily everything. It's just a lot of funny things. It's doing a lot of small things that are really messed up to get to the golden dream.
The problem is he thinks that everything's a necessary evil to reign to get to that whatever he's desiring to get to.
There's a fair argument to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's move on to the the co-stars. Let's talk about Karen. She's an very interesting character, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you introduced her in pretty early on in the season.
Trouble kind of seems to follow Karen in my
Yeah,
opinion.
and
it's
it kind of hints at her
curiosity.
having it kind of that issue in the past as well.
Yeah.
Especially once you get into her relationship with Ben, and this later on in the episode, it kind of talks about her past and how there is something kind of shady about that as well.
Yeah, she has a dark side, but again, I don't know if she has a constant curiosity, and it seems to be driven by wanting to at least see justice done, or at least her idea of what justice is. She never really gives up.
I think that's something you do kind of see in this episode. There's a lot of characters that are really enamored with their concept of justice, of their concept of making the world a better place, and go about it in very different ways.
Yeah.
Because even though Karen and Foggy want to, actually have a lot in common with Matt and Daredevil, they go about how they want to make the world better slightly differently.
Yeah.
And I mean, even with Matt and Foggy later on, you do see that being kind of a contrast with them.
Yeah, it was funny how she's introduced, because she's introduced as the damsel in distress.
Kinda.
But then she becomes so much more. I mean,
essentially, she kind of grows and evolves as a character pretty heavily throughout this season. And you see her kind of being almost a different character by the end of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, definitely similar personality traits, but a lot different. Or you just, at the very least, you see very different aspects of her.
Very much so, because we'll get to that. Well, yeah, let's just go ahead and talk about her dark side. When she shoots and kills Wesley at the end of the season, I was not expecting that.
No.
I mean, Wesley was toying with her.
Yeah.
And why he put a real bullet in the gun, I'll never know. But she called his bluff.
I think that's
essentially.
Wesley was a very confident character.
Very confident. And
there was a reason he was Kingpin's right hand.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a reason when he dies, Kingpin goes fucking apeshit.
Oh, I know. Because he did everything for him.
Yeah, well,
He
really was a friend for him.
Yeah, he was probably his only friend, really, other than Vanessa.
Also, I don't know if we included in the notes too heavily, but Wesley as a character is fucking fascinating. In this show.
It was almost sad to see him die. I didn't like.
Oh,
I liked
for
him
me,
as a
that was-
villain, but I didn't like. him
I loved
personally.
Wesley as a character, and like I actually was kind of upset they killed him off because I was like, he was like the most competent dude on the show. And he was like fascinating characters because not only is he almost as equally calm as Kingpin is, even when Fisk is going in a mad rage, he's just there hanging out. He's calm, he's collected, even more so. Like he handles the business of it all so fucking perfectly.
He does really, really well. He's the perfect sidekick or counterpart to Fisk. But I think I was okay with him dying because it revealed something about Karen. I was not expecting
it.
That.
Definitely has a narrative effect, and there's justification for it.
Yeah,
I mean, like in developing Karen further as a character, who you really, when you're first introduced, you don't actually expect her to really be much of a character. Like you don't even expect her to like really continue after that storyline's resolved, but she does.
Yes, very
and
much
continues and grows. And I think the actress who played her was also on True Blood a few years before that, and did a pretty decent role in that as well. And here she does a really good acting job.
She does, and by the end of, and even in the very first or last episode, I should say, she's feeling guilty that she did it. Too, which is it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely showed like complexity of emotions with her character.
Yeah, she's very, very emotional. Very, I don't know which way. Ever since she shot Wesley, I'm never sure which direction they're going to go with her anymore.
Yeah,
because she's kind of a firecracker, waiting to explode. It seems like. I don't know.
I mean that, and we don't really know what the issue is with her backstory. Like, what was the horrible thing she kind of did that it's kind of hinted at.
You're right, and then the only other thing to mention about her is she kind of flirts with Foggy, and that kind of sets up sort of a seed of a love triangle, maybe, kind of, sort of, in a way.
I'm not sure if I consider it flirting too heavily with Foggy, but Foggy definitely flirts with her.
Oh, yeah.
So it definitely does seem like it's all kind of one way.
Yeah.
Or she's interested in Matt, and Matt's not really interested in...
Yeah.
Foggy's kind of interested in her.
Everybody's chasing everybody else's tail.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's... For time's sake, let's we could probably talk about Karen a little bit more, but let's move on to Ben Urich. Once a champion for justice as an investigative reporter, it's kind of fallen on hard times because of the whole newspapers not selling due to the internet kind of thing.
Well, yeah. Pretty much a lot of print has had kind of a dying in media, newspapers in particular. So it's actually kind of interesting to see that it's thrown in the storyline because it's a
real life theme.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you have a lot of things, even like the New York Times, that are having a hard time adjusting to the media world, and like how do you have ad agency or ad things kind of include that? How are you covering costs in the new world?
Yeah, he's having a hard time with things because his wife has got some sort of illness.
It's like Alzheimer's or dementia or something like that.
Something like that, but
I don't know if it says it very specifically what it is, but there is definitely a memory component to it that actually makes it pretty depressing.
Yeah.
I mean, having, relatives that have gone through Alzheimer's, it's, a depressing element as well. That's kind of a real world inspiration.
Yeah, he seems like he's just up against the wall, and he's still trying to do the right thing, but he's trying it's not the way things used to be. And
I mean, it does seem like even on the newspaper ends, when the stories they are selling are more, here's a tweet, here's some tabloid bullshit, and he's like, no, I'm an investigative journalist.
I'm an old school journalist.
Yeah, I'm getting a proper fucking story out there, and they're like, well, we need some shit that sells.
And as much as I hate the media today, the news outlets of today that we have, I think that's why I like this character that much more, because he is old school. He is of the old journalistic integrity.
Anyone who's constantly frustrated with tabloidization of like how our entire news media, it's definitely a character you can relate to. Whereas like, because it's just constantly talking about people's opinions or bullshit, or and just like it really does almost seem like investigative journalism has gone dead, or the people that do it are considered leakers and then prosecuted or have to flee the country or some bullshit.
I was really shocked to see him die too. I thought he'd
Yeah.
be around for the next season at least.
I kind of thought so too, and
kind of taking Karen under his wing kind of thing, and then he's...
though I was also
Yeah.
kind of surprised when they actually went up to like an old folks home and you actually meet like Fisk's mom, like before it delves into like his like backstory. And, like,
yeah, when I saw that, I was like, either Karen's going to die or he's going to die, or they're both going
oh
to
yeah,
die.
like because it clearly goes out of its way to be like Fisk is clearly trying to hide her, and then it's
Right.
like, and for
you just saw what he did when somebody interrupted his date. Now you're messing with the boy's mama.
yeah, who clearly also led a rough life. If we're not,
Right.
you know,
And let's face it, Karen pushed him into doing it. He didn't even want to do
Yeah.
it. You know,
Yeah.
her that curiosity, that
yeah, he
thirst
was actually
for-
looking for like a nursing home for his wife.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
so-
Karen got
Him killed.
Yeah.
So more guilt for Karen, but still, I was sorry to see him go.
Oh, yeah, it was a good character.
good
and
character.
it's-
So
You know, it was a good supporting cast on, you know, kind of the good side, you know, here. Whereas
yeah.
on, you know, kind of for Fisk's side and the dark side, or of the show, like, you had, you know, Madame Gao, you had the one accountant,
Yep.
you had the two Russian subordinates, one who gets his head bashed in.
off. Yeah.
So there was actually even, like, you know, for the bad guys here, you had a lot of really good supporting cast.
The ninja who turns out to be...
Oh, yeah, the
We won't
triad
say what,
guy.
Yeah, we won't say what he becomes in season 2, but
Yeah, but...
a ninja.
Oh yeah, but his fight scene, like with the like hook
Yes.
chain thing,
Yes.
it's
I
like a sickle and chain.
I guess that's what you'd call it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But I mean, that was such a great fucking fight scene.
That was great. I loved every second of that. And Matt gets his absolute ass handed to him.
Yeah.
That whole fight scene.
Oh yeah, like there's a bit where the sickle goes like into his side,
side rips.
and, yeah,
Ah.
and you can just hear like the actual pull on it, and it's
Yeah.
just like there's so many moments in the show where you're just like
The
you're
flesh.
cringing at the fight scenes because like it comes across that fucking well.
And if we're talking about fight scenes, just real briefly, that hall fight scene.
Oh yeah,
in this
it
movie
definitely
is
took a
fucking
lot from
fantastic.
like Old Boy, like which is a great Korean like film, but well, disturbing Korean film, but like yeah, just you have that one continuous shot, and it's just all so close and compact, and you clearly see them wanting to do this in like every other like Marvel show,
Right,
like on
they're
Netflix.
Try to top it.
Yeah,
what's
they
next.
clearly have wanted to try it, and but this
Yeah.
one really does still kind of stand out as being one of the better ones.
I think it is, but it's the groundbreaker. So.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and then you just at the end of it, you just walks off, grabs the kid, and they walk out, and it's like
yeah.
there is just so many good moments, like for in terms of action sequences for this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Okay, let's move on to Foggy. Foggy's kind of like the loyal dog. He's a loyal friend.
Yeah,
He believes in his friendship with Matt.
Yeah, he is a
you
very
know.
loyal dude. He's kind of a happy-go-lucky guy in some regards. I mean, but he also allows himself to kind of be open about how he feels about things and how he sees things, and
Yeah, he believes that him and Matt, Nelson and Murdoch can change the world legally.
yeah.
You
And
know,
I mean,
through their
this
law
is clearly
firm.
something that even Matt kind of believes in some regard because this is something he kind of pushed for.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, they really are going out of their way of trying to, like, improve the system through a legal process. And clearly is a dude that is competent enough to work at larger firms, which is kind of something they've shown.
Yeah, and I really thought that they were going to have Matt be both. Maybe this is just stereotypical other hero shows that I've seen in the past. I really thought you were going to see more of them in the courtroom than we got.
Yeah, you really
know,
don't see a whole lot of it in the
Not
first
in season
season.
1. And I was kind of expecting a lot more of that, and they did. And instead,
What you kind of do see is, like, how that kind of sets up some of the missions you have as Daredevil. Like, you do see, like, the Tenant case, like, where they're actually acting as lawyers.
Right.
Kind of set up some of
And
the
I-
other things with Fisk.
And I thought they would keep doing that.
Yeah.
But instead, they surprised me again, and Foggy finds out that Matt's Daredevil.
Yeah.
Which throws Foggy for an absolute
Oh,
loop,
yeah.
You know, and so I wasn't
Yeah,
expecting
and
that again. I was
And
surprised.
you actually have a nice clash of opinions about
Yeah.
how they do things. Because for Foggy, up until this point, you actually see him kind of, like, making fun of Daredevil a bit.
Right, because I do think we do things within the law.
Yeah,
you know?
like, that's a vigilante. That you don't break the law to serve the law. That's fucking stupid.
right.
Like, there's a actual kind of a valid opinion in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, he's the moral voice, really, against his vigilantism.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's not quite Jiminy Cricket, but you
no,
know.
but you know, I guess he kind of gets over that at some point by the end of the season, but it's still an issue.
Kinda? Not really?
It's still there, but he's going along with it.
Yeah, like, he's not like, fuck you, I'm out.
Right.
Which is kind of almost happens, but
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, you see him being a very sociable dude. Like, you see him kind of getting along with everyone.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he really is kind of the face of, like, their, legal team.
He's, to pull up the Lord of the Rings reference, he is Matt Sam.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I don't know, man. I never really looked at him that way, but...
He kind of is. I mean, he's his best. He's the guys... I think
he keeps Matt grounded to a certain extent.
Yes, I think he'll always be there he'll always be a friend to Matt, no matter what happens.
He wants to be anyway.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about the key to all the Defenders, because that's what we've been told. And that's not a
I mean, she's been in every season of the Marvel show so far.
And we do know already, they've said that she's the key to the whole... Because we all know that Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist all eventually get together and create the Defenders. That's not a spoiler alert. That's been publicly... And that this next character...
they've already released the promos for the Defenders and such.
And
actually, even the promos for the Defender actually looks really cool, because it's that kind of slowed down Nirvana song in the background.
That's very cool, where they keep ripping off the letters.
Oh, also, before we get into this briefly, just like a small moment to talk about the intro to Daredevil. It's so fucking fantastic.
That is very cool. I like how it looks like paint or blood, and it just starts kind of forming things.
Yeah, dripping down.
Over things, yeah. It's like a sculpt. It's like...
And it has like this little liquid sculpture
thing. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Like visually, like even though there's like 13 episodes, I never wanted to skip over that.
Yeah, you always want to watch the intro.
Yeah, like not only does the song kind of set the mood, it's such a cool visual effect. Like, it's really hard to replicate how well that was done. Like, and it really sets the mood for everything, and just it's so fucking cool, just even on its own.
You can sit there and watch that over and over again.
Like maybe not for like 10 minutes, but it's something like I said, I won't skip over it.
Yeah,
like,
it is cool.
Because I like watching it. Like, it's something I enjoy. Like,
it's not like you see blood going over a mannequin's head or something. It just forms out of air.
Yeah.
Out of thin air. That's what makes it cool.
Yeah, and it's almost kind of like an allusion to like how he sees things, or at least you think it is until it actually
how he sees the world. Yeah, kind of.
Until like it shows the whole seeing fire thing.
Right.
Which is actually also kind of a cool little...
That was pretty neat, really.
Like, it works so much better than like the old like Daredevil film, where it's just like... little dots and echolocation thing.
I've only seen bits and pieces, but yeah, I
supposedly there's a better cut than the original version, but I've never seen it, so I don't know.
I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, so let's get to the one.
The Elektra spinoff is much worse, if it's any consolation.
I've heard that as well. We'll talk about her in season 2.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the key. The one character shows up in all the series. She's apparently the key to uniting the Defenders at some point. At least we think. Her name is Claire Temple. She's a night shift nurse. She basically puts Matt back together after she finds him in a dumpster.
Yeah.
After getting his ass kicked in the previous episode.
Yeah.
Like, pretty bad.
I mean, that's the
ninja, but pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, she's pretty much patches him up, and then they kind of hang out and talk, and like, she's kind of, I guess, his go-to medical aid, since he doesn't want to go to hospitals or vets or anything like that.
Yeah, she's got a lot of medical skills for just a nurse. I'll give her that.
Yeah.
I mean, she knows how to patch him up pretty well.
Well, I think it focuses on her being an ER nurse and like having to cover a bit more than she would have to otherwise.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
So it definitely has that component to where it kind of is trying to justify like her ability to like patch him up so well.
Right.
It's like... She's more or less a doctor, but it's not a doctor. It's kind of how they're trying to present it, almost.
Yeah, I guess that's probably... I would think of... You think they would have made her like a physician's assistant or something. I don't know. Anyway. So, yeah, she patches him up, and she also has a very quick love interest, I guess, with Matt. Almost like a Nurse Nightingale kind of thing going on.
Kind of. I mean...
It doesn't last, though, because she can't handle him being Daredevil.
Yeah, like she kind of... I mean, you get to see the dude get roughed up so much, you have to keep patching him up.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure it's, a bit of a, flame killer in some ways.
Right, so...
well, that, and I think that's also one of the things that makes Murdoch kind of interesting, is because you have so many people in his life that don't understand that aspect of it. Mm-hmm. And you have to force him to kind of re-explain why he does what he does so often.
Well, yeah, because it's ludicrous, right? Because he's
in some ways, yeah.
He goes out night after night. Not only does he put his life on his line, but he gets, especially in the first season, he's still trying to learn how to to really put all his skills together.
Yeah, like most of that season, he does not have a bulletproof jacket.
Most of that season, he's getting the fuck beat out of him. I mean, he's getting roughed up pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, like he's getting his ass kicked every other episode.
I mean, he's winning, but he's not winning easily.
Yeah.
You know.
Like if you've ever seen like the old like Kick-Ass film, like you kind of have a similar thing where the dude's going out there getting his ass beat over and over again.
And I think that's the other thing I liked about this series is this hero, he gets winded.
Yeah.
He loses his breath. He's,
It
real.
adds that dimension of realism to it.
Yeah.
Like not necessarily realistic, but
closer.
Closer.
I mean, yeah, the extrasensory stuff, the mystical stuff is suspension of disbelief, but everything else.
Yeah, like you watch some of the stuff and you're like, oh yeah, someone could do that.
Yeah, totally.
Like it's not like he's jumping off, the top of buildings, landing, like doing the superhero landing.
He's doing the Jackie Chan stuff.
Yeah.
He's a Jackie Chan guy, but other than that, I mean, it's believable.
Yeah,
to a certain degree, and I think that's the other part I like. You get to know. Through these Netflix series, we get to know these characters so much better.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and you get to see the real human side.
And I think going back to Wilson or Fisk and Matt Murdock, like you have the Clash as individuals, not just as like their superhero or supervillain like alter egos. Yeah. Like there's that bit where Matt goes to the art gallery with Vanessa and talks to Fisk as himself.
That's true.
And like you actually do clearly have those conflicts just on like a philosophical level. Between them, even though they are similar people in some regards.
Yeah. Before they even start their whole war with as Daredevil and Fisk.
Yeah, and I mean, you just have so many interesting moments where it really is allowing the characters to drive the story rather than the story driving the characters.
And it was I think I enjoyed it so much more because he didn't have the suit till the end.
Yeah.
And then once he does get the suit, then it's the reward at the end of the season for watching him go through all this hell.
It's the one thing that allows him to almost keep up with Fisk and actually kind of turn the tides in some way.
It does, because at the end, he's got the suit and he beats the fuck out of Fisk. He beats him.
Oh yeah, like that last fight scene between Daredevil and Fisk like before Fisk gets captured. Mm-hmm. That is an epic fucking fight.
It's pretty cool.
Like, you just have like Fisk just picking him up and slamming him fucking down. Like without that suit, there would have been so many more fucking broken bones.
Very much so. Yes, I don't think he would have survived. Probably.
No. Like clearly, Fisk is able to almost like tear down fucking walls.
Yeah, he has superhuman strength. Almost.
Like it's not quite like Superman or like anything you consider maybe super.
Sometimes I wonder if he's got like a little bit of that Luke Cage thing going on in there somehow.
Because he's pretty durable too. Yeah. But like, don't get me wrong, he gets knocked out, but
it takes a lot. It's like you have to hit him with a damn Mack truck.
Yeah, like it's not necessarily superhuman, but it's
close.
It's on the high end of the spectrum.
It seems to be enhanced at some point. But
like you're almost dealing with someone like the Mountain from Game of Thrones.
Yes, very much.
If not, maybe a little higher.
That's a good analogy. Game of Thrones Mountain.
Yeah, like just a dude that could tear someone's fucking eyes out or head off or anything, man. Like physically, he has the capability of it.
Definitely. All right, so it's a good quick review. Let's just go right into final thoughts and grades. All right, Aaron, what's your final thought and grade on Daredevil Season 1?
For me, it'd be an A+. I think you have some of the most well-rounded characters that actually come up on TV, or at least in the superhero genre. You don't necessarily have the same formula you have for every other DC show that's out there or Marvel show that's out there on like the network shows. I mean, you look at Fisk, and who not only has friends and love interest and is one of the most developed villains you will ever see like on a show, who's actually you're almost rooting for him by the end of it, just a little bit
Maybe, yeah,
but like even
because
if
you
you
get
don't
to see the vulnerability of the guy, and
you may not agree with necessarily with what he's doing or everything, but you kind of like he's a character that you kind of like by the end of it, and which is weird because you also like Matt Murdock, you like Daredevil, you understand where he's coming from, and it's one of those things that's really nice because there's no one that's like, you don't have Fisk being generically like, I'm evil and going to destroy the world. It's like, he views himself as a good guy. He has good goals.
Well, that's what makes...
It's the clash that makes it more interesting, is because both of them view themselves as being just in their own way. Oh, yeah. You have almost a philosophical argument behind their fist, and it makes it fascinating to watch. And it's setting the tone for the rest of the Marvel, like, show series that really does kind of work for this universe and on this level. And it was a great series and a great season.
I couldn't agree with you more. And building off of that, I think you can't have a great villain unless they really believe that they are in the right. Because that's what makes them even more scary, is because they really believe they're doing the right thing. And when they do that, and they can do terrible things, keep doing terrible things, believing they're doing the right thing or doing the necessary evil to do the right thing, that makes them that much more dynamic, that much better. So, and I love how this show, again, the compare and the contrast between Daredevil and Fisk. I've heard it described in other reviews as the yin and the yang. Really, they really are. They're opposites, even though they're trying to do the same thing. They're just doing it from completely different points of view. I love that. I love the action. I love the darkness, the grittiness of it. I love the format of the 13-hour episode. The binge watching, you can watch as much as you want. You can, like you said, you can pause it, you come back to it, you can watch it all in a row. Yeah. And it's literally a 13-hour movie from beginning to end. Oh yeah, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, and visually it was done so amazingly well.
Visuals were great.
Like, it's not something where they really skimped out on that. Like, visually it looks movie quality for the most part.
It does. It really does. It's probably just. Well, it is pretty close to movie. I was going to say maybe just a step below.
Hey, don't get me wrong, it might not be like what the Marvel films are.
Well, it's not like major, spaceships and alien invasions and lasers being, all around you, and a big Hulk.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the production value on this versus probably what the average CW or like ABC show does,
it's far
definitely
above that.
Yeah,
it's
like, this is maybe not like modern big budget movie, but like 5-10 years ago, this is big budget movie quality.
Oh yeah, and you can't tell the story that they're telling on network television anyway. It's far too dark. It's far too drama based, especially when we talk about our next binge cast or binge watch episode is going to be Jessica Jones.
Oh yeah,
that is nothing but drama.
Well, not just that, but like
we're talking dark shit. Yeah,
like it went from like physically violent to emotionally violent.
Yes,
yeah.
And that'll be our next episode. So probably next week. So be looking for that. That'll be the next binge watch episode. So, all right. So where can you find 4 Midwest Guys? Well, it's real easy. We now have a website. You can go to www.4midwestguys.com altogether. There you can find links to our Facebook, our YouTube, podcast, our Podbean, the iTunes. All that stuff's there. Plus, we also have all of our podcasts listed there. We also have categories for each one of our podcasts. So on the website, you're going to see a new category for Binge Watch. And under Binge Watch, all of our Binge Watch episodes will be there. We do Star Wars Rebels episodic reviews. Those are all under one category. Marvel DC Kings is all under one category if you want. Or you can go chronologically through as we release them and you can watch them. So a lot of good stuff going out there. We also have... John does his Oscar Bro. We just had the Oscars are coming up this weekend. Actually tomorrow, and he just did his Oscar. The Oscar Bro did his Oscar prediction, so that just got released as well. So go up to 4midwestguys.com and make sure you catch all of that. Subscribe, follow, and like us, and just reach out to us too. You can also leave a comment under each individual podcast, and you can also through contact us. You can leave us a message as well. So make sure you do that. That's www.4midwestguys.com. All right, Aaron. Well, thanks for joining us on our very first binge watch.
Yeah, not a problem.
Absolutely. And this is B. Willie saying we will catch you next time.